Hello, Ellie here from Thankful Flow Yoga. Thank you for joining me for another YouTube practice. Today we are going to be doing a core focused flow, and this flow is going to be suitable for all levels. So there'll be different options throughout depending on how you're feeling today, but this would be suitable if you're a beginner too. So we will be doing, like I said, more of a core focused flow, but there's a lot of sort of core strengthening practices within yoga, and quite often it's at times in certain poses that you may not realize that you are really activating the core when you're doing it, which is actually quite nice. But today we'll be focusing in on that, thinking about this area here, building some heat and energy in the solar plexus, manipura. So when you're ready, we'll start in a lying down position on the mat. And I recommend today having blocks to support you in your practice, and then just come into your comfortable lying position when you're ready. So we'll take a couple of moments to ground into the class to begin with. So starting to either close the eyes or taking your gaze up to the ceiling. And allow the arms to come out to the side of the body, palms of the hands facing upwards. And taking a moment to really inhabit the body fully. And what I mean by that is really feel into the body. Sometimes we're up in our heads a lot of the time. So bringing your awareness to the breath. Observing how the body feels. Using this as an anchor into the present moment, into the now. Notice the weight of your body being supported by the ground. And slowly start to draw both knees in towards the chest. And either take the hands around the shins or to the backs of the thighs, and take a little hug here. Perhaps finding a gentle rock from side to side. And then releasing from the hug, send the feet so that they're reaching up towards the ceiling. Now the legs don't have to be straight, you can keep a little bend in the legs here. And we're going to reach the hands up as well, and either interlace the fingers or take your Kali Mudra, which is your index fingers staying lengthened and touching whilst the rest of the fingers are interlaced. And what we're going to do is, as you inhale, send the breath into the body, and as you exhale, drop this right leg down, and as you do so, reach the both arms out behind you. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, drop the left leg down, reach the arms back. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, right leg drops down. See if you can let it hover above the mat. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, left leg comes down, hovers, arms reach back. Inhale, back to center, and once more on each side. Exhale, release, right leg down. Inhale, draw it back. Exhale, release the left leg down. Inhale, come back to center. And release the legs, take that hug again. Well done. And then keeping the legs in this bent position, release the hands from the hug. And we're going to start to draw the knees away from each other and take some circles here with the legs. So keeping them bent, imagine that you're drawing a circle with the knees on the ceiling. And now if you need to use your hands here to support the legs and guide them, then you can. But just see how it feels, and you can make the circles smaller or larger depending on what feels good for you. Just see how it feels to use that strength through the core, through the hip flexors here. And start coming back in the opposite direction. Notice how that feels. Stay with your breath. Last one. Well done. And release both legs down to the mat. Soften the body. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, take a releasing breath, breathing out through the mouth. Starting to draw the legs back in. See if you can start to find a little bit of momentum here. And we're going to try to rock yourself forwards and see if you can find a Navasana boat pose. Now, if you're new to yoga or rocking back and forth is not for you, that's okay. Either rock yourself forwards and then meet in a Navasana, or come up to your seated position. You can take the hands behind the legs, take the toes away from the mat and come into your Navasana boat pose here. So lots of space across the chest, engaging the hip flexors, engaging the core. If you're bringing the hands away, bring them to your Anjali Mudra heart center. We're going to take some taps here. So tapping the fingers down to the right, back into center, to the left, back into center, to the right, back into center, to the left, back into center once more on each side, to the right. Stay with me. Back into center, to the left. Back to center and release the legs down. Come into a seated position, either cross-legged or you could bring the legs out in front. Take what feels right for you. Ooh, hopefully feeling that, that activation now through the core, through the front of the hips. So meeting in your seated position, rest the hands on the knees or the thighs. And inhale, roll the shoulders back, shine the heart forwards, opening across the chest. Exhale, round the spine, drop the head, draw the belly button in. Inhale, lift the gaze, shine the heart forwards. Exhale, round the spine. So moving through these seated cat and cow movements, moving with your breath. So you can make these slower or more fluid depending on what works for you. Just making sure that on your inhale that you're opening across the chest, and on the exhale that you're rounding the spine. So we're starting to mobilize our spine here. Last one. Coming back to center. And then moving into your tabletop position. So your all fours position on the mat. Remembering you can always have cushions or blankets under the knees if you have sensitive knees here. Just remembering you can take a child's pose at any time that you need to throughout the practice, or come into a resting position, really listening to your body. So from here, we're going to draw the right leg out behind you. So press that right foot into an imaginary wall behind you. And again, this is a natural way. We're thinking probably more about the right leg here, but actually your core's engaging. The rest of your body is also working here in order to make this movement to stabilize. So on your next inhale, bend through this right leg and draw the right knee in. Now it might be kind of coming to roughly here, or maybe, and what we're working towards is drawing this knee in towards the nose, so dropping the head. That's just a gesture of where it could be heading. And then exhale, pressing the right leg back out behind you. So inhale, draw the knee in. So we're finding a bit of a rounding in the spine. Exhale, press the right foot back out. So 2 more. Inhale, draw the right leg in. Exhale, press it back out. Once more. Inhale, draw it in. Exhale, press it back out behind. Well done, and release. Drop the hips down towards the heels. Take a child's pose here. Rest the head and the heart towards the ground. Reconnect to your breath. Inhale, open the eyes back up, lift the hips away from the heels. Coming on to the other side, so release this left leg away, press the left foot into the wall behind. Now remember, these are strong and controlled movements, so if you need to come back to your child's pose, you absolutely can. So inhale, draw the left knee in, drop the head around the spine, knee to nose or in that direction. Exhale, press the foot back out behind. Inhale, draw the knee in, drop the head. Exhale, lift the head, press the foot out behind. 2 more. Inhale, and you can move with your own breath as well. So again, it doesn't have to be exhale, press the foot back, exactly in time with what I'm doing. We're leading with our own breath in this practice. And last one, inhale, bending through the left leg. Exhale, pressing it out behind, well done, and release it back down. So take a little wiggle, take any movement here that feels good. Maybe a gentle rock back and forth. Just grounding through the hands, massaging into the wrists. And then from here, we're going to tuck the toes under. And on your next exhale, lift the knees away from the mat and just hover them away from the ground. Stay with the breath. So we're not holding the breath. We're not restricting that prana, that flow of energy into the body. Keep breathing. Exhale, release. Ooh, take a little rest here. We'll come into that one more time. So take a deep inhale. And exhale, lift the knees away from the mat. Keep breathing here. And then from here, start to lengthen through the legs and see if you can send the hips up to the sky and meet in a downward facing dog. So you could take a child's pose instead of a downward facing dog here. That could be a really nice option for you, especially if you're quite new to yoga. Or if you're feeling like that's what you need today, then take that option. Come back to your child's pose and rest there instead. If you're in your downward facing dog, lifting the hips to the sky. And this is another pose where you might not necessarily think that you're strengthening the core, but you really are. Your belly button's drawing in towards the spine. So keep lifting the hips to the sky, lengthening the spine, sending the gaze between the knees. And then on your inhale, we're going to start to shift the shoulders forwards and see if you can start to drop the hips down, and we're floating into a plank position. On your exhale, you can bend the legs, you can bend the arms, push the hips back to the sky, downward facing dog. So taking some spinal rolls here. So inhale, so rounding, shifting the shoulders forwards into a plank. Exhale, bending the legs, bending the arms, send the hips up to the sky. Once more, inhale, so coming up on the toes, shifting the shoulders forwards. Exhale, pressing the hips up to the sky, back to the downward facing dog. From here, on your next inhale, send the gaze between the hands and walk or step the feet in. And we're just going to hang down here in a forward fold. So bend the legs as much as you need to. You can take the hands on the elbows. Really allow the head to hang heavy, taking any gentle movement that feels good. Coming back into the body, into the breath. Grounding. Release the hands from the elbows. Slowly curl the body up with a rounded spine. Making your way to Tedasana mountain pose. Grounding through the left foot now. Step this right foot back and find your warrior two. So the side of the right foot's roughly in line with the side of your mat, but you can have the toes pointing further in if that's feeling quite strong in your hips. So take what you need and then reach the fingertips away. Send your gaze over the left fingertips. And as you inhale, crown of the head reaching towards the ceiling. And again, start to notice here your core has naturally engaged in this posture. So you should feel some natural activation in the core, allowing you to come into your warrior two. So breathing here, pressing the feet down and away into the mat, keeping both legs switched on, check in with what that right leg's doing, if it's having a little rest, bringing some activation back into it as well. And then bring the hands down to the hips and step the right foot in. And the left foot's at the front, and we're going to bring some weight into the left foot. So we're going to work into some warrior three, really lovely pose. Again, it's engaging and activating pretty much the whole body in warrior three, but it is really good for core strengthening as well. So 2 different ways you can come into this. If it's already in your practice, move straight forward into your warrior three now with the left leg as the standing leg. The other ways that you can do this is, if you're quite new to warrior three or it's not usually in your practice, start standing upright with this back leg coming away from the mat. Find a drishti or a gazing point. Hips are square. And it might be that you're working with hovering this back right foot away from the mat, touching the toes down when you need to. This might be where you are with your warrior three. Another really lovely way to practice with warrior three is to use blocks. So you can actually start with your hands on the blocks. We want the shoulders above the wrists. You can take a micro bend in the left leg if you need to. And then what we're doing from here is working with lifting this right leg away from the mat and pressing it into the wall behind. We're still using the core here. We're still using lots of strength through the body. It's a nice way to support you and bring you into that really nice line with the body. Of course, if you're working with Warrior 3, you can bring the hands away from the blocks. You could have them reaching out in front to add in a little bit more challenge, a little bit more work for the core. So take the option that works for you. Keep the hips square. Breathing here. Exhale, start to release, come back to Tedasana. We'll move over to the other side now. So grounding through the right leg, step your left leg back, find your Warrior 2. So right leg's bent, left leg's lengthened, left foot's roughly in line with the outside, that edge of the mat. Reach the fingertips away, send your gaze over the right fingertips, breathing here. Feel that engagement through the core. Pressing the feet down and away. On your inhales, lifting the crown of the head towards the sky. Release the hands down to the hips. Step the left foot in. Find your option that you want to work with for Warrior 3. So right foot's in front, grounding through the right foot. You could be hovering the left foot away, or you could be working with those blocks again. Maybe the hands are in Anjali Mudra, shining out in front. And just remember, coming in and out of the pose, or breathing into any wobbles and shakes, this is a positive thing. This is building your concentration, your joint stability, your strength. We're not just getting our bodies used to doing these postures, doing these different things. We're also, in some cases, making new pathways in our brain. So neurologically, we're also needing to build these new pathways in our brain as we do these movements, we work with balance, things like that as well. Exhale, release, come back to standing. Come back into Tedasana, so feet roughly hip width apart. And we'll start to lower down from here. So you can either keep your feet grounded or you could come up on the toes. Bring the hands out in front and gradually start to bend through the legs. And we're really going to lower the body down towards the mat. And then either using your hands here or, if you can, sitting back, bring the hips down to the mat, and then either taking the hands behind the thighs or doing it without, lifting, coming back, meeting in Navasana bow pose. Now from here, we're going to inhale, reach the arms out to the side. Exhale, draw them back in together. Inhale, arms reach out. Exhale, draw them back in together. Inhale, arms reach out to the side. Exhale, draw them back in. Once more. Inhale, arms reach out. Exhale, draw them back in. And release. Come back to a seated position on your mat. Well done. Bring the hands back to the knees or the thighs. Coming back to this seated cat and cow movement. Inhale, roll the shoulders back, shine the heart forwards, feeling just a gentle opening through the front of the body here. And we're actually tilting the pelvis as well as we do this. So imagine that cup of water, as we shine the heart forward, that cup of water is also tipping forwards. Then when we come into exhaling, dropping the head, rounding the spine, that cup of water is tipping back. The pelvis is drawing up and in towards the body. So inhale, opening across the chest, shining the heart forwards, tipping your pelvis. Exhale, dropping the head down, pelvis is drawing up and in towards the body, belly button's coming in towards the spine. Once more, inhale, opening across the chest. Exhale, rounding the spine. And then coming back to center, closing off the eyes, and you can have the hands on the knees or the thighs as a gesture of grounding here. Relax your neck and your shoulders, perhaps noticing any heat or energy in this abdomen, solar plexus area. Noticing how that part of the body is now feeling. Perhaps observing any reactions or responses to this practice today, physically, mentally, emotionally. Just accepting whatever comes up during or after the practice. Then open the eyes back up when you're ready, just coming back into the physical body. Now that was, of course, a lovely short condensed practice. If you have time to come into a longer Shavasana or to do some more stretching through the front of the body, through this area, then I definitely recommend that. If you want to see longer, more in-depth practices where I discuss the energy centers within the body and more in-depth yoga philosophy, guided meditations, then do get in touch. There's a link below to my on-demand membership. There's over 80 classes on there to choose from, short and long practices, beginner, intermediate, all sorts of different things to choose from that you can do from the comfort of your own home. Thank you for being here with me for this YouTube practice. I really appreciate every single one of you who does these videos with me. Do comment and feedback to me on how you're getting on or any requests, and I can't wait to see you again very soon.